Have you ever heard of the Native Americans of the U.S. regions? Well, now you have. We will show you what each region is like, what the weather is like, and what tribes live there. Let's start with the Northeast region. In the region there were thick forests, plants grew well, and there were rivers, streams, and lakes. The winters were cold and snowy, and the summers were hot and humid. The Powhatan and Iroquois tribes lived in the northeast woodlands. The crops they grow are corn, squash, and beans. Those are the most important crops of the Native Americans. They use log cabins as their homes. They call it log cabins because more than 30 people live in it. They also lived in wigwams. They used animal fur in the winter to get warm. The men wore leggings and moccasins. The women wore thin deerskin dresses. These pictures shows Native Americans dancing. This is a tradition of the Native Americans. This is the southeastern woodlands. You will learn about it all. The southeast region is separated into two parts, the north and south. The southern part has grasses and swamps. The northern part has mountains and rivers. It is snowy in one part and rainy in the other. Can you guess which part of the region is snowy during the winter? If you guess the northern part, you are correct. The Cherokee and Chickasaw tribes lived in the southeast woodlands. The Seminole lived right here in Florida. The men of the southeast region went hunting and the women planted crops. These houses are chickees. They were made of grass and wood. They had high floors to protect people from animals. In the southeast region, Native Americans wore clothes made from deerskin. Men wore breechcloths and women wore wrap skirts. Everyone wore moccasins for shoes. They did the green corn dance to celebrate the summer's first corn crop. Have you ever wondered how Native Americans lived in the plains? The plains region had rolling hills, valleys, streams, and it has very few trees.
Buffalo herds are the foods Native Americans eat. They did not waste a tiny piece of it. They ate it all. And if there were leftovers, they used it for something else, like to decorate their teepees. The weather was hot in the summer and cold in the winter. Sometimes it was rainy and there were tornadoes.
Blackfoot and Lakota tribes lived in the plains. There was also the Crow Indians and Comanche. The daily life of the Plains Native Americans was made up of traditions, washing, cooking, cleaning, but mostly hunting. When they would hunt, they would sometimes attack by surprise. When they killed the buffalo, they skinned them and ate their meat and saved some for later. Then they lit a fire in the teepee and told stories, and they went to sleep.
The Plains region has different kinds of corn, beans, and squash. The people use teepees as homes to live in, and only one family can live in a teepee. People drew symbols on teepees that warned people or told stories.
The inside of teepees had buffalo rugs, pots, drums, shields, and decorations. Teepees had support sticks and buffalo skin designs. Moccasins are made out of buffalo skin.
They wear moccasins and their clothes describe their traditions, like if there were buffalo on their clothes, then that meant they were wise.
One of the traditions of the powwow dance is to meet new friends or play with old ones. Another tradition is to honor the different states or Indian flags. The powwow dance is very old, so we must respect it.
Now let's learn about the Southwest region. The Southwest region is a very large area and it is a very hot, dry desert.
The weather is very hot during the day and very cold at night. There is very little rain in the desert, so there is a drought. There are no flowers like roses and dandelions. The Navajo and Hopi tribe live in the Southwest. They use their natural resources to make jewelry, clothing, and homes.
They planted squash, beans, and of course, corn. They were famous from one plant, and it was called a yucca plant.
The Southwest people made pueblos, which was made out of adobe bricks. Adobe bricks are made from clay and straw. Their clothing was made from antelope, rabbit skin, and cotton. Also, they had sandals made from a yucca plant.
They also make talking pots and the symbols tell stories about good or bad things. The Southwest region people do the eagle dance to celebrate their special event and they put paint on their face.
Welcome to the Pacific Northwest. This land has a mountain called Mount St. Helens. Native Americans also lived in the Pacific Northwest. The region has lots of forests and water. It has cedar trees that are used to make plank houses. There are many natural resources in the Pacific Northwest, but the cedar tree is the most important natural resource. The region has cool summers and mild wet winters. The Hardo and the Tillamook tribes live in the Pacific Northwest. The people of the Pacific Northwest didn't have to grow crops because their land was full of natural resources. Instead, they fished for salmon and they hunted whales. They used plank houses to live in. Many families lived in plank houses. The plank houses were decorated with cardboard and they also painted the plank houses.
The Pacific Northwest men wore breechcloth for clothing, and the women wore skirts and capes made from weaved cedar. It's amazing how you can make clothing out of cedar trees. The Pacific Northwest tribes carved totem poles to tell stories of their past. They also had a potlatch to celebrate special occasions with dancing and music. Now you've heard of the Native Americans of the U.S. regions, and you know all about the people's daily life, housing, clothing, and traditions. And that about sums it all up.
Oh!